Hi guys, it's Ray here from City Fan TV, and I hope you're all doing very, very well indeed. I hope you like the Formidables there. It's a funny old thing wearing this blue City top. The backdrop that I used to use, the Formidables one, has come up on the shirt, and I think, hey, for this video, I'm just going to go with it. I'm just going to run with it. Guys, this video is going to be about Kalvin Phillips. And I know you've probably heard enough about him because you never see him playing and you want him gone and all that. But I'm going to put a little twist on it and look at, despite the fact that Kalvin Phillips probably wants to now move away, and probably because City want him to move away, he might not be moving away. And has he potentially screwed himself over, or a City screwing him over? We're going to delve into this potential move for Kalvin Phillips. Before I get into the meat and drink of this video, guys, please subscribe to the channel. It costs you nothing. Almost at 20,000 subscribers. It's blowing my mind. 20,000 subscribers. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a like. And if you can hit that bell icon, you'll be notified as soon as new videos come out. And make some comments. I love getting your comments. I love replying to you, what you said, and having a debate on YouTube or on Twitter. But I love having that little chat with you guys. And so, yeah, put some comments in the comment section below. Right, Kalvin Phillips. Look, fella's knocking on. I'm not going to get all the facts right, but he's about, 28 years old. He's not playing for City. Pep basically has said he doesn't fit in with the way City play. I don't know why we got him, paid whatever, 45 million from Leeds. England international. We thought it was, at the time, a decent signing. He'll be cover for Rodri. Pep doesn't see him as cover for Rodri. You know, we've had games where Kalvin Phillips is sat on the bench. We've had in midfield John Stones, Manuel Akanji, Rico Lewis as our midfield. No space for Kalvin Phillips. You know, last season, I think the first game he started was either the penultimate game of the season or the last game of the season. It was one of the last two games of the season. Was the first league game he'd started for City. And that's when the league was already won. So that's how little importance Pep places upon him, how little opportunity he's had. You know, last season was a bitty season for him, obviously with injury and coming back from the World Cup, allegedly a little bit fat, overweight. So that wasn't good for Kalvin at all last season. Now, he had opportunities. People were looking at him this in the summer. Now, I think City would have liked him to have left because Pep didn't want him. Pep had decided he didn't fit. But Kalvin, he'd got his treble, he'd got his trophies. He wanted a bit more. He said himself, he wanted to prove himself. He wanted to give himself that chance to show that he could do it. Well, he can't because Pep's not going to give him that chance. So he had the opportunities to move away in the summer. Clubs were interested. He didn't take it. Clubs were interested in an England international, whatever he was, 27 years old at the time, or whatever, 27, 28. Plenty of years ahead of him. He could hit the ground running because he played the Premier League for Leeds, a few bits and pieces for City, but he's an England international. Quality, it's still a quality player for the right team. He'll fit in, with the right fit. He'll do a team very, very proud. Now, he chose not to go. Now, I think that scuppered him because what's happening now is clubs are interested in Kalvin. You know, there are some clubs who generally are looking at who have got a lot of injuries, like Newcastle. Got a ton of injuries. You know, 12 or 13 players out. Tonali is not going to be back this season. Other players are not going to be back this season. They're in a bit of strife. They're losing a lot of games. They're dropping down the league, ninth in the league at the moment. Out of the Champions League, struggling to get back into the Champions League spots. They'll be looking to even get into the Europa League spots the way they're playing at the moment. Terrible run they're on. Terrible injuries. Lots of reasons for it. But so Newcastle are looking. Juventus were looking. There's talk of Bayern Munich looking. PSG in England, Fulham. I can't remember the other one. Was it Everton? I can't honestly remember now. There was Fulham. There was somebody else apparently interested. Maybe West Ham. Liverpool had been interested in someone. Everton should be interested in someone like Kalvin Phillips. Now, the problem is City basically want to get rid of him. They want him gone. They don't want. I mean, I think their preference would be just to sell him, move him on. Okay, that's it, gone. But clubs are reluctant to make that big purchase in January. I mean, for Kalvin Phillips, unless you go to Chelsea, who just seem to be throwing money left, right, and centre, £40 million let's say it's a £40 million outlay, is a lot of money to spend in January if you haven't already budgeted for it. Now, I think that's a big issue. Clubs don't want to be spending money in January because they don't generally budget for spending money in January. They're looking at the summers. They're looking at long term. And Kalvin Phillips, he will be there for the long term, but they probably haven't considered him for the long term. If you're looking at Fulham or West Ham or Everton, I don't think they would consider him in the summer, because they would have expected him to go to, if Liverpool are sniffing around, maybe he'll go there, or now with Bayern Munich, or PSG, they'll think if he's got the option to go to a bigger club, with all due respect to Fulham and West Ham and Everton, he'll go to a bigger club. So, so they're not really, clubs haven't planned for this expenditure. So it's difficult to bring it in to your way of thinking. So there's talk of sending him out on loan. And my preference would be, if you send him out on loan, there's got to be an obligation to buy. I don't want an option to buy. I want an obligation at the end of the season. Now, even the loan is proving difficult because City apparently we're asking for £7.5 million for a 6-month loan. Basically, not even 6 months, till the end of the season. So you're looking at basically now till middle of May, 4.5 months. They want £7.5 million. And I think for a lot of clubs, that will actually price Kalvin Phillips out of their thoughts. Some clubs haven't got that. Everton already struggling with financial fair play. Nottingham Forest, I haven't mentioned them, but they're another club who have got problems with financial fair play. Lots of clubs have this issue with either financial fair play or the Premier League's profit and sustainability rules, or whatever they're called. So they're looking at £7.5 million, and it'll hit them in this set of accounts. That's a lot of money. Now, if they were to buy Kalvin Phillips for 40 million, it's not going to make that much difference, actually, because let's say they put him on a 5-year contract. The amortization, not going to go through all the details with you guys. The amortization is 8 million a year. It's not a lot of difference to 7.5. It's actually a bit more expensive. I think people were expecting that if they're going to get Kalvin, and they've got to pay his wages as well. Sorry, I forgot about that. You get someone on loan, you've got to pay his wages. So they're going to, let's say he's on 150 grand a week. Let's say you get him for 6 months. That's going to cost you another let's call it another 3 million. So you spent on Kalvin Phillips £10.5 million, probably £11 million by the end of everything's done, for about 4.5 to 5 months of football. I don't think many teams really would want to do that. It's very, very expensive. I think they're expecting to get Kalvin Phillips for maybe £2 or £3 million, maybe £5 million tops as a loan fee. City asking for £7.5 million. Wow, that's a heck of a lot of money, and I think that's going to prove prohibitive, especially with the clubs on the brink of struggling to make their financial fair play numbers work. Now, is it fair for City to ask for so much? Well, yeah, because he's our player, he's City's player. So why can't we ask for a lot of money? Why can't we ask for what we think he's worth? Because we paid whatever 45 million he's on a 5-year contract. In effect, that's costing us 9 million plus his wages every season. So it's costing us 11 or 12 million quid every season anyway. So why can't we try and recoup a lot of that? Why can't we, as a business, because City are a business, it's all about making money. Okay, as a business, why can't we try and extricate as much money out of clubs who want to loan him or buy him as possible? Why, if we were selling him, why can't we ask for as much money as we want? If we're loaning him, why can't we ask for as much money as we want? We can. We're entitled to. He's our player. Now, in the past, I think City have sold players far too cheaply. You can roll off loads like Tosin Adarabioyo, far too cheap. Lavia. I think the structure of the sale was... well, they didn't expect Lavia to do so well so quickly, but I think the structure wasn't as beneficial to City as it should have been. But those things are different kettles of fish, selling kids. I've talked about that before, about the difficulties of getting the balance right. So has City been unreasonable? I don't think so. I don't think City have been unreasonable, because he's our player. It's costing us money. It's costing us money for him to be on the bench. We're losing value in our asset, and we're paying his wages. So we are perfectly entitled to go and ask for whatever money we want. Now, the issue for Kalvin Phillips is going to be, even though he's got the support of Gareth Southgate, Kalvin hasn't been playing much, and Gareth's still been picking him for the England squad. Kalvin will want to play in the Euros this coming summer, because in 2 years' time, he'll be 30 years old. He might be too old for the World Cup, or 3 years' time. He might be too old for the World Cup. Who knows? So Kalvin will want to play in the Euros. Absolutely be desperate to be playing in these Euros. He wants to be part of that squad. And the risk is for Kalvin, I mean, he might have all the support from Gareth Southgate, but still in your head, A, you want to be playing football, and B, you do worry if you're not playing football, maybe the manager forgets you, and maybe he overlooks you. Kalvin wants to be in that starting 11, not just a squad. He's done that. He's won loads of stuff at City by being in the squad and not playing. But I think he'd like to be in that starting 11, if at all possible. Now, I don't think he is at the moment. I don't think he's good enough to be in that starting 11. But 1 or 2 injuries. If Declan Rice gets injured, who do they go to next? Kalvin Phillips. So he wants to be the first next cab off the rank. He wants to be the go-to man for Gareth Southgate if there's a chance for him to start. Now, he will be worried that if you're not playing football, you do not get noticed. So he will probably, by now, be desperate to play football. 18 months, he's hardly played football. Training is not football. Training is training. He wants to play proper football. Okay? So he'll have to work it out. How's he going to make this happen? I don't know how he's going to make this happen. Will he have to give up some of his wages? Will he have to pay a bit of money himself? I mean, that would be crazy. We've seen people, I think Fernandinho paid some money himself to leave. Was it Shakhtar Donetsk to come to City? Players do this occasionally. But Kalvin's going to have to sit down with City and try and work something out, because his future's not here. There are not many games in January anyway. We got, I think, the FA Cup on Sunday against Huddersfield. We got Newcastle the week after. If we're through to the next round of the FA Cup, we got that at the end of the month, about the 28th, 29th or whatever. And then we got Burnley on the 31st of January in a league game. There's only 4 games maximum this month. So he's not going to get, even if he does move on, he's not going to get a lot of game time somewhere. But he needs to be out there playing. So he'll have to sit down with the City hierarchy and try and thrash something out. Try and get them to maybe lower the loan fee. Maybe he has to give up £1 million of his own money. Maybe he has to go without getting wages or something. I don't know how it's going to work, okay? But he has to make it work. If he wants to go and play football now, Kalvin Phillips will have to pull his finger out. He's had his chances in the summer, and I think he should have gone. In hindsight, he probably looks back and thinks, yeah, maybe I should have gone. Maybe I could have gone somewhere and got full-time football. But now he's got another opportunity in this transfer window. He's got to go and make it happen for himself. Guys, if you're new to the channel, it would be fantastic if you could subscribe. If you can hit that bell icon, you'll be notified as soon as new videos come out. Give us a thumbs up, guys. Give us a thumbs up. Always nice to get your likes, and put some comments in the comment section below. Always, as I said, I'm always interested to see what you guys have got to say, what your opinions are. I might not always agree with them, but I want to see what your opinions are. I do comment on probably about 90% of your comments. Take care, and we'll see you around Blues.